with our Soul Center Declaration, which is inside your program on the inside of the cover. Let's all please rise and really take this to heart. And we'll do it together. There is one life, and that life is God. That life is perfect, and that life is my life now. I am here to receive the divine message for me. I am awake, I am tapped in, and I am transformed. Wonderful, wonderful. So I'd like to thank our house band here, Jesse Godoy and Brian Sherrod, and our beautiful guests. I'm happy to have you here today. So for everyone here in person, we still have our doors open outside, so you can have patio seating. Masks are optional, but be mindful of personal space. Air hugs and hands on hearts for our closing peace song. Our life visioning class begins Thursday, October 20th, Pacific Standard Time, for 5 weeks online. You'll learn Reverend Michael's life visioning process, the 4 stages of spiritual growth, how to construct and ask empowering questions, and how to articulate the vision that's seeking expression through you. Class read by Reverend Coco Stewart. You can register at soulcenteroc.com. Reverend Keith's Daily Affirmative Prayer streams live on Soul Center's Facebook page or Zoom, 9:30 a.m. Pacific daily except Sundays. The Zoom link can be found in our newsletter or at soulcenteroc.com. A Course in Miracles with Keely Beckwith is held Tuesdays, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific. Join in at any time. It's not something you have to sign up for. You can just find that Zoom link on the website. Munch and Mingle Social. Join us following service on last Sundays monthly. That will be today. So you can munch and mingle at nearby restaurants, outdoor picnics, etc. It's a lot of fun. So we can see Angelina.
Yeah.
They come see you after service, okay? If you want to join in today. We are having an Angel Day next Sunday in observation of our beloved co-founder in heaven, Patricia Griffith's birthday, and in admiration of our other Heavenly Soul Center angels, Beth Morley and Allison Brown. We dedicate Sunday, October 2nd, in their honor. Life is eternal, and each of them imparted divine principles that live on in their legacies here. Join us next Sunday during our regular service as we celebrate our angels and how they anchored angelic light in our community that continues to grow and expand. And should I mention about feeling free to bring maybe photographs of any angels in their life? Yeah, so we want to honor all of the angels in your life, people who have passed on to the next realm, so you can feel free to bring a remembrance for them, and we will be remembering them next Sunday, okay? And we're also having a photo opportunity next Sunday. We're having a professional photographer come in and to take photos of us during service and afterwards. We just want to show our community the way it is right now, where we've evolved to, and it's absolutely wonderful seeing all of you. Don't miss out on our activities by signing up on our website for our weekly newsletter. And we have our prayer chaplains wearing blue prayer shawls. They're here and online, holding sacred space for all of us. We have Susan back there and Andrea up here in the front. For confidential prayer after service, please go to the patio or send your prayer request to soulcenterocprayers@gmail.com. Are you interested in getting more connected with us? Join a Soul Circle small connection group by contacting Scott at soulcirclesoc@gmail.com. We're currently meeting via Zoom, and we may also be meeting soon in person. A heartfelt thank you for contributing to Soul Center success through your monetary gifts. After the bills, we're saving for a permanent building. Yeah, we're praying for that. To tithe, please text to the number in your program. It'll come up on the screen a bit later, or Venmo to @SoulCenterOC. Tithing is also available on our website. It's tax deductible, as always, and there's an easy way you can do it as well. Amazon donates 0.5%, to a charity of your choice through its Smile program. Select Universal Soul Center, Newport Beach when enrolling. Okay, and now we're ready to to hear the beautiful sound of Jacqueline Brown Betterfield, let's join her in our congregational song.
All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to do our release.
Woo!
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and I didn't know the love of God wasn't heard. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. Let love go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit of my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I only give for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I only live for God. I release and let go. Oh, I let go. I let the Spirit of my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I only live for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for
Good morning, my name is Andrea LeClaire. Our reading is taken from The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes and it's entitled Vitalizing Faith. In order to have faith, we must have a conviction that all is well. In order to keep faith, we must allow nothing to enter our thought which will weaken this conviction. Faith is built up from belief, acceptance, and trust. Whenever anything enters our thought which destroys in any degree one of these attitudes, to that extent faith is weakened. Pure faith is a spiritual conviction. It is the acquiescence of the mind, the embodiment of an idea, the acceptance of a concept. If we believe that the Spirit incarnated in us can demonstrate, shall we be disturbed at what appears to contradict this? We shall often need to know that the truth which we announce is superior to the condition we are to change. In other words, if we are speaking from the standpoint of the Spirit, then there could be no opposition to it. It is only when we let go of human will and recognize the pure essence of the spiritual principle incarnated in us that thought rises above a belief in duality. We should constantly vitalize our faith by the knowledge that the eternal is incarnated in us, that God himself, herself, goes forth anew into creation through each of us, and that in such degree as we speak the truth, the Almighty has spoken. Let us turn to them and pray. So grateful for this morning, grateful for all these beautiful, beautiful faces here today. Grateful for the sunshine and grateful for all that simply is. And grateful to stand in spiritual principle right here, right now. Grateful to stand as strong as an oak tree, as flexible as a palm tree, just standing in this principle. Knowing that God simply is, the eternal grace simply is, that the power and the presence simply is. And each one here, each one of us is created from that very same substance. So we still, as we are here in this stillness, we have all the grace, all the power, all the presence within us right here, right now. And knowing today, declaring it so, is a beautiful day, a great day, a wonderful day, a day where Reverend Keith is so prepared to share his wisdom as only he can. And we are so prepared to accept it, to receive it, and to allow it to transmute us as we transform ourselves, our lives, and we transform this planet. It is such a beautiful time to be alive, and I'm so grateful to say it is, and to know it for all of us, to simply know it. And so I let it be, and so it is. Amen. So it is. All right. find in your program and coming up on the screen. I'll speak a line and then we'll all repeat them aloud together with sincerity and acceptance. Please rise. My life is filled in full participation with the infinite.
My life is filled with the full participation with the infinite.
All my relationships match the high vibration of unconditional love.
All of my relationships match the high vibration of unconditional love.
Perfect health is my conversation, my affirmation, and my demonstration.
Perfect health is my conversation, my affirmation, and my demonstration.
I allow the good of God to come to me and flow through me.
I allow the good of God to come to me and flow through me.
Vision, infinite potential, and benevolent possibilities are the fuels that drive my life.
Vision, infinite potential, and benevolent possibilities are the future that drive my life.
Gratefully, I live these words of truth.
May I live these words of truth.
And so it is, amen.
So it is, amen.
May be seated, thank you.
This next song I'm about to do is an agape classic, it's straight from the catalog, written by Reverend Michael Beckwith and Ricky Byers. It's called I'm Ready to Listen. Early in the morning, lying in my bed, thinking about a dream I had. The pictures were fading fast, noticing the music in HD, and a peace beyond this world. I recall that I couldn't dwell in what was gone. Couldn't care about what was wrong. The message on the stereo was strong, saying one day the pain goes, and one day we'll see that what really matters in life or in dreams is the music of love we hear in each scene. And I'm ready to listen now. I've heard your voice before. Your way has been calling me, and now I'm walking through the open door. I'm ready to listen now. I am ready to listen, Lord. I dreamed we were old and very sad. We were lost with no memory. Fear and a dare to breathe were painted on the sorrow of our hearts. But suddenly the voice of love was heard, and it touched us, and one by one the memories began service. This is where we come to feed our soul, to glorify our soul, to radiate our soul, to rejuvenate our soul, to shine our soul. This is why we come here. We come here to be spiritually fed. And that's, whether you know it or not, that's why you're here. Whether you came because somebody dragged you here, or whether you're here because you said, I'm going to Soul Center today. You think you may have made that choice, or somebody made it for you, but your soul wanted you to be here, and that includes all of you online. Those of you who are streaming in, we've got people on the East Coast, we've got a couple people outside the country streaming in, and I'd like to just welcome our love streamers, and we have some of you who are just locals that are just laying in bed. And we've got people out on the patio, and we even have a four-legged that's joining us today. So welcome. This is our Sunday service. This is our sanctuary. This is where we come to expand our divine energy quotient. What does expanding your divine energy quotient mean? It means that you keep coming back to the divine on a regular basis. You remember who you truly are, and you allow who you truly are to expand. That's the simple version, but we gotta dive into that and make sense of it all as what it means to have a spiritual adventure in a human incarnation. As we continue, we're rounding out the month here in our theme of collaborating and cooperating with life. We're collaborating and we're cooperating with capital L life. We're not collaborating and cooperating with lowercase l life. Lowercase l life belongs to the temporal world. Capital L life is the infinite, eternal of all good. That is the very nature of life, the very nature of God. God and capital L life are synonymous. They're synonymous with good and bliss and eternality. So we are here to explore that. We are here to explore that, and some of you may know, may not know, but we are a spiritual center with roots that are steeped in the New Thought Ageless Wisdom teachings that the Agape International Spiritual Center brought forward from the likes of Ernest Holmes, from the likes of Mary Baker Eddy, and the other forefathers and foremothers of our movements that goes back several hundred years already. And in those teachings, the forefathers and foremothers of the movement wanted to know, how do you live the mystical life? How do you activate? How do you participate in cultivating miraculous things in life? How do you bring about that which would be called a miraculous healing in your body temple, or in your emotional body, or in your mental body? And so they would actually delve and dive into the sacred teachings found in Scripture, found in the Hebrew Bible, the Christian Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, any of the sacred texts, whether it's from Buddhism, shamanism, whether it's from Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, all of that. There is a sacred text and teaching in there. There are mystical teachings, but it's not what you read, it's how you read it. If you don't understand how to read sacred text, then you might be pulled into the lowercase l life in misinterpretation. You'll start to interpret things literally. And you don't want to do that, because so much in sacred text is not literal, it's metaphorical. It's metaphorical, like, for example, the story of Daniel in the Hebrew Scriptures. The story of Daniel, the one who went into the lion's den, I'll just refresh your memory a little bit. He was considered a prophet. The prophet Daniel was somebody who was so steeped in his spiritual practice, in the mystical ways. He wasn't in the dogmatic ways of superficiality, which you sometimes find in religious teachings or expressions. He was in, like, I want to know. He was back then, thousands of years ago, what the forefathers and forefathers of our movement were recently, where I want to know, how does this all work? How does capital L life work in the human experience? And he knew, as we know, that prayer and meditation are the portals, they're the gateways that allow us to lift from space-time into the eternal. When you get snagged by space-time, it starts to shrink everything, condense everything, densify everything, and then things become small and rote, and maybe even mediocre or even boring to some degree. Life loses its zest and its zeal. But when you allow yourself to say, I'm going to commune with the eternal, with the divine, with actually your soul, your true nature, who you truly are. When you start to connect with the temporal, you think that you're a man or a woman, or maybe you
Today you think you're a they. Whatever it may be, you think that you have these traits associated with the ego or the personality that start to densify you and start to define you in very limiting ways. Now, as you've heard me say before, this package that we come in, this costume that we bring on to planet Earth, it's wonderful, it's got depth and richness, and there's a lot of beauty and brilliance in it, but it's not who you are. It can be a reflection of who you are, and it is actually, it's a reflection of what you believe. It's a reflection of what you hold in your cellular memory. It is, when it is in its purest state, radiant, when it is the law of radiance expressing through you, then you're in the world but not of the world, and you're shining your higher self through your personality, through your body, through your emotions, and through your mind. But how do you get there? How do you navigate that? And in the story of Daniel, he was considered this prophet who had a deep devotion to the divine and was in prayer on a regular basis, day in and day out. He could taste the deliciousness of ceaseless prayer. He could taste the deliciousness of an expanded awareness. So he became kind of this prophet guide to the kings of the time. And they would call upon him for divine interpretation of certain things. But because they were rooted in the temporal, if they didn't like the divine interpretation, now see if this applies to anybody here, if they didn't like the divine interpretation, they go, oh, forget about that. And they would not listen to providence. They would want to listen to their ego or the wants of the ego. The wants of the ego are, I want the car, I want the house, I want the soulmate. The desires of the soul are, I desire sacred right living. I desire sacred holy relationships. It's a soft and subtle shift over to sacred holiness in everything. And so Daniel was called upon. Occasionally, the leaders of the day didn't like what they heard, and some of them were conspiring because he had become kind of like the teacher's pet. And so they were asking, they conspired and they said, you know what, we are going to put a moratorium on prayer, and you're not going to be able to pray for the next 30 days. And Daniel said no to that. I am not going to give up my faith, and the topic for today is faith, fortune, and the follow-through. Faith is something that you might think is a luxury. Now again, you may have caught on already, anytime I say capital letter, that means the divine version, and lowercase means the temporal version. Capital F faith is the faith where you are in communion with the divine and you are touched and attached to knowingness. Lowercase f faith is when you have an intellectual understanding of something and you are letting the temporal world influence you. Daniel did not want the temporal world to influence him. He knew that in capital L faith, in God, all things are made new. Everything is fresh. Everything is alive. So he chose to not do as he was instructed to do, and he kept praying, and as a consequence, he was sent into the lion's den, where it was supposed to be the assured end of his life, because the lions were starved and were going to hunger on him. Different Hunger Games. And so he was brought into that, but by his faith, he turned his back to the lions and stayed on the divine. He stayed on the divine, and consequently, as the story goes, the lions did nothing, and he survived, and was testament to his faith. Now, faith is one of those things that you may think that you get to choose. Faith is actually your birthright. Faith is something that's wired and coded and loaded into your beingness should you choose to access it. But just like Daniel, you can turn your back away from it or you can turn towards it. That is the entirety of free will and free choice. That is what humanity is all about. You get to choose whether you want to do this or do that or maybe even this or that. There's lots of choices to be made. When you choose a right, you are choosing to be in faith. Faith is something that you want to call forward that brings you into knowingness, and faith always begets fortune. Fortune always follows faith. Faith will, and we're talking capital F faith, because some people in the lowercase f faith, they put their faith in the stock market. They put their faith in so-and-so. They put their faith in such and such, and therefore, when that doesn't happen, they are disappointed, and maybe even get resentful. So in the case of Daniel kind of giving this metaphoric expression, again, of what faith is all about, communing with the divine, understanding what it means, that in God all things are possible benevolently, and in God all things are made new, when we turn to our faith and live from that, we will always have good fortune. No matter what is coming through, good fortune. We know that form follows consciousness. Whatever is in your consciousness, the form of that consciousness, whatever you believe, is going to outpicture in your life. Faith is going to guarantee you good fortune in whatever that is. Faith in my relationship with so-and-so, and that relationship with so-and-so, it's about the qualities, the holy qualities that you want to experience with so-and-so. Years ago, I was working with a lot of people. It was a spiritual community that I was involved in. And there was a woman who, she had gone from one spiritual community to another spiritual community, and she was exploring different things. And when she got to this spiritual community that I was a part of, she was like, caught up in the newness and the freshness and meeting all the people, and everything was grand and glorious, and, that honeymoon phase of looking at all the teachings and all the new people and everything. And then all of a sudden, several months in, she started to go, she thought some people had said some bad things about her. She was starting to feel a little bit alienated. She felt unincluded. She was kind of really starting to get offended by certain things in life that was happening in this community. So instead of turning to faith, she turned to the temporal world and remembering that everything you're experiencing is coming through the filters of your belief system. So if I have a belief that I'm unincluded, and that's actually a real life experience of mine, I felt unincluded very much when I was in elementary school, junior high, stuff. I was always the last person picked. I was always the one that was being teased or whatever it was. And so that started to feed a belief within me. I used to, I don't know if any of you had that experience, but they're going okay, and I want to pick so-and-so, and I'm going to pick so-and-so, and I'm just oh God, just don't be last. And the one time that I got picked second to last, I was like, no! Second to last was it's all a matter of how you're framed. So anyway, I know what it's like to be excluded from things. And so she was feeling excluded and heard some murmurs and whispers. Sometimes she'd walk by, she might just catch a couple words of something that didn't even actually have anything to do with her. But she made it all about her and started to get offended and hurt. And then all of a sudden the community was no longer good for her. So instead of this is where turning your back comes in. Instead of turning her back on those voices and those energies and what they mean, she turned her back on the community and just was they've got problems, I'm out of here. On to the next community, and comes to find out, because eventually we did some one-on-one time together, and we started to diagnose where it's this is a pattern that went from one community to another community to another community, started back in school, similar to the way it would happen to me, and then all of a sudden it was always this inevitability, because her faith, unbeknownst to her, was that things are going to go sour. I'm eventually going to be excluded, unincluded, or maybe even ridiculed. So when we finally got to the juice, it's it's always, everybody's always thinking, whenever you think it's somebody else, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. We know we live in a reflective universe where we need to take a good look at what's going on. Even, let's just say, somebody said something not good about her. Oh, she's such a blah, blah, blah. You still do not take that. You don't even give that any credence. Now, 9 times out of 10 in her case, it wasn't even true. But even if it was, let's just say, oh, she's so this and so that. That just means that I'm still going to turn my back on being excluded, unaccepted, maybe tormented or teased, and I'm going to turn my gaze and my awareness and my attention and my intention so that my faith begets fortune, that I'm going to beget fortune, and that's where the follow-through comes in. The follow-through of the topic of today is faith, fortune, and the follow-through means what is the fortune that I'm seeking? What is the faith that I'm seeking to hold that? and to remember that what you see, the way you see something and the way you would hold something are two different things. I'm going to unpack that a little bit. The way you see something and the way you would hold something. In our spiritual community, we have practitioners and chaplains that are holding vigil. To hold vigil means you go into a sacred vibration, an unwavering, unmoved connection with the divine of the eternal frequency, whatever that eternal frequency might be, and you hold into it. Very much like we do in meditation, like in meditation this morning, you hold into a space where I will be undisturbed by the temporal world. And so you move into it. So when you're holding someone in vigil, when you're holding someone in prayer, when I'm holding someone in prayer, I'm holding them at the perfect blueprint of who they truly are. I'm not getting involved in the temporal experience. When the woman who was feeling excluded and teased and ridiculed and unaccepted and unincluded was having that, I'm like, oh no, I'm going to hold you at your perfect blueprint. I'm going to hold you as included and seen and heard and loved. That is there no matter what. The perfect blueprint of your divinity is with you everywhere you go, but you have free will and free choice. So you can turn your back to the truth or you can turn to it. Sometimes it feels daunting. Sometimes it feels like I'll never get over that hurdle of whatever it is. But everything you need is already coded and loaded within your bone cells, tissues, and your spiritual DNA to transcend anything should you choose to do so. Should you make sure that in order to hear the voice of God, you've got to shut up. You've got to shut up to hear the voice of God, which means stop listening to your surface mind and start listening to the voice of providence so that you can hear the truth. And if you were to hear the truth about someone who was saying some disparaging remark about someone else, what you would hear is, oh, they're projecting their own issues and their own low self-esteem onto me. And I am not taking that. I will rebuke that. Not only will I not accept it and not stand and be diminished by it, but I'm going to hold them in their higher light. That's what it means to hold. So the way you see things is not necessarily the way you would hold things. If I'm holding things in an eternal vibration, I will see truth. You got to make sure you put the cart behind the horse so that you can see what is the truth about any given situation. Now, there are parts you've heard me talk before, because some people go through life and we create this idea that there is separation, that there's an opponent, that there's opposition. You know, over the years, and especially within the last 10 or so years, there have been all these conspiracy theories about, I'm just going to touch on them. I have no opinion one way or the other, except there is a holy opinion. And the holy opinion is whether it comes to vaccines, whether it's to the political climate, whether it is to 9/11, whether it is to chemtrails, whether it is to whatever it is. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there that people are delving into. Some spiritual people are delving into these conspiracy teachers. Conspiracy theories. Some spiritual teachers are even out there saying, oh yeah, you gotta beware that there are people that are trying to suppress the truth. That is not real, that is not true. It is only true in the temporal world. There is nothing against anything in the divine world. In the divine world, all is well. There is no adversary, there is no opponent, there is nothing against anything. The only place that there can be anything that is against anything is in your mind. Now, to the spiritual warrior, when you look at me, you're like, oh, but don't you see what's going on in the world? Didn't you see what happened to the immigrants? Didn't you see what happened with Hurricane Fiona? Didn't you see those things? Those are really happening. Yes, those are phenomena taking place in the temporal world based on collective consciousness that people are sharing. And we will be there in complete compassion. We do not go, oh, it's not happening, I'm just in some higher level of consciousness. No, that would be called denial. And you don't want to go around being Cleopatra, queen of denial. You want to be somebody who is enlightened and can hold the space. You hold the space for that. You don't, true capital vibration of the higher frequency that can pull you up, should you choose to be pulled up. And whenever somebody comes into that frequency, as we remember the story where the woman who was, she was desperately seeking a healing from Jesus, and she just knew if I could just touch his garment, I will be healed. And in the crowd, she's walking through, and there's tons of people, and Jesus had some disciples around him, and then all of a sudden, somebody pulled on his robe, and he said, "Somebody has touched me." And one of his disciples said, "Well, of course, you're being bumped into and pulled by all kinds of people as you're walking through this crowd." And he's like, "No, somebody touched consciousness. They wanted to be awoken. They wanted to be awake." And what she was doing, her belief was, and her faith was, and she was using the principle of osmosis. Spiritual osmosis means that when I am in that field of holy energy, if I'm just in there vibrating with it, I can allow myself to take advantage of it. And it's like, give me some of that. And that's what she was doing. Give me some of that. And she was energetically, osmotically taking the energy and making it hers. She knew she could make it hers. So, we know in kind of our new thought, new age world out there, whether it's crystals, whether it's homeopathic energies, whether it's aromatherapy, whether it's any of those kind of alternative things, music recorded at theta frequencies, things of that nature, what those things are, they are not your savior. They are not what makes you whole. You're just going to take advantage, like, I'm going to put on this essential oil, I'm going to put this crystal, I'm going to light this candle, all of this, but your intention to surrender to the divine is what's back of the ritual, and is going to beget what you're seeking, should you choose to seek it. Somebody was just here, bad juju, got sage this place, nasty energy going on, gotta clean that, so-and-so. And, that's a phenomenon. Sage does have inside of it a natural tendency to clear, but it is your belief in it that is making it so. Now, we will use our spiritual ritual, we will use our spiritual things until we no longer need them. You will use your sage until you don't need your sage. You will meditate with your candles and your crystals and your incense until you no longer need them. Or maybe you just like them. I happen to love fragrances and things of that nature, but I know that it is my mindset, the faith and the fortune follows faith, and that is going to make it so. And we will proclaim and declare whatever it is. So when we get into some of the little nitty-gritty things, like if I'm feeling sorrow on my heart, or maybe I'm feeling guilt or shame, some of these energies, I call them the dust bunnies, they're like the little things that, it's just subtle. I'm a little sad. I'm a little, guilty. I feel a little shame. Some of them have become so normal that you don't know that when you're even doing it. Do not normalize temporal energy. Normalize eternal energy. Normalize, as Daniel did, the eternal frequencies so that you are unmoved and unwavered by temporal energy. You came here to have fun. You came here to play. You came here to enjoy. You came here to dance a delicious dance in this world. Remember, this is but a blip of a nanosecond. One of the things that really, what I'm really coming down to is, A, get to know you. Get to know who you are. How do you do that? You've heard it a million times. You're going to pray, you're going to meditate. But I don't have time to pray, I don't have time to meditate. Well, the good news is if you pray and you meditate, you're going to get more time. You're not only going to get more time, you're going to get more delicious, spacious, glorious time than you could ever possibly imagine. You're going to open up to the vibration of bliss. You're going to create your own resonance. You're going to create your own aromatherapy. You're going to create your own crystal magic. You're going to create your own connection to the divine through your willingness and through your choosing to do so. So one of the things that I find fascinating, because a lot of you know that I'm kind of a spiritual science nerd. I love science. I love how science can prove spirituality. That's why I'm in the world of divine energy medicine, because I understand how the different energy centers from your 8th and 9th chakras all the way down to your 10th chakra and all the ones in between, and how you have a literal You have a literal spiritual DNA that connects you to the profundity of life so profoundly that you move into extrasensory perceptions of life, should you choose to. The more you densify by the temporal world, the more you're going to be at the mercy of the 5 senses, the 5 denses. The 5 denses are going to block out. They're going to block out your good, and they might end up bringing pessimism, cynicism, and even paranoia or depression. Now, anybody who's experienced any of that, we don't make them battle around. We're like, all right. Now, we know we don't cast pearls before swine, so we never make anybody do anything. Oh, we just hold in resonance for them, whatever it is that they need to be held in. And then when they're ready, they'll come and say, hey, how about that thing, and how about this? And then the gates are open and you can start to espouse whatever that is. But in the meantime, anytime you think somebody else ought to gain from something, it's you who wants to gain from it. Anytime you go, oh, you need to take this blah, 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 it's like, oh, no, I need to go deeper in blah, blah. So you need to read this book. Oh, I need to read that book again. That's what that means. Sure, it would be great if they did, but what you're really trying to do is everybody they love our friends and family. Come along, I'm going into joy, come with me. If you allow yourself to vibrate at that, as you rise, all rise. It's inevitable because every person in your life wants to rise. It's inevitable. You will rise to your fortune. So the earth right now is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour on its axis. 1,000 miles per hour on its axis. At the same time, it is circling around the sun with all the other planets at 67,000 miles per hour. At the same time, our entire solar system is moving through the galaxy at 490,000 miles per hour. I find that wild. Right now, 1,000 miles per hour, 67,000 miles per hour, 490,000 miles per hour, the whole solar system, and we're sitting here. So when you think about it, when you're in an airplane that's going 590 miles an hour, but you're inside, no wind is blowing on you, nothing's being disturbed, the cabin pressure's been set, everything's trying to be made as comfortable as possible. You have no idea. If you stuck your head out that window in an airplane, you'd probably fly off. So the whole point of this is that A, I think it's fascinating, but B, that's what you're doing when you go into meditation. You're making a cocoon that is undisturbed by the outer elements. It's kind of like when you're in your car, you're driving on the freeway at 65, I know some of you are going like 85, 90, whatever. But and it's like you got your music going, you're not feeling it unless you're in a convertible. You're just feeling you're in this just beautiful cocoon. You make that cocoon where you allow yourself to be in the cocoon and commune with the divine. And what is it when it comes to hurt, sadness, guilt, shame, confusion, anger, resentment, powerlessness, hopelessness? What is the gift? What is the golden nugget? What is the faith that I am needing to know from knowingness that will set me free? What is the energy that is seeking to rise up from within me? And what ends up happening, as someone who's shared with you that, about 6 dark nights of the soul and other, hazy nights of the soul where depression was sitting in and things like that, that doesn't happen anymore. I'm not saying, oh, aren't I great? What I'm saying is, if you work it, it works. If you really apply the principles and you understand, you want to know what it is that you are seeking. And you are seeking the faith that transcends human understanding. You are taking your eyes off of the temporal prize and bringing it up to the eternal prize. And the eternal prize is always going to be at least a minimum of 1,000,000 times better than the temporal. So we're going to say yes to that. Yes?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to make our faith our fortune, and we're going for capital F faith, the capital F faith that allows us to connect to a knowingness of the truth. Whatever the truth is, what I have found over the years is if you allow yourself to be, let's say I'm feeling sadness, let's say I'm feeling guilt, let's say I'm feeling shame about something, if you allow myself, what is the truth? that will set me free? What is the truth? What is the faith that I am to understand about all this? And you allow yourself to be still in that cocoon, it will reveal itself. What is going on? Like the lady who thought that these people were out to get her. We go into the cocoon. We set the intention to match the desire. There are desires, capital D desires, that are seeking to be revealed and expressed through your life. And when the desire comes from your soul into your heart and then makes its way to your mind gets to go, well, do I want that good or I don't want that good? And then you say, I'll take the good, and you align your intention through choice with the desire of the heart and soul, and boom, you have got success. You will achieve your fortune. This is an evolutionary impulse. You've seen the sacred spirals in the sacred temples around the world. That is glory to greater glory, to greater glory, to greater glory. Ever expanding good is what that symbol is all about. And we're going to say yes. When it comes time to turn your back, do not turn your back on the eternal. Turn your back to the temporal. Be a Daniel or a Danielle and make sure that you embody that. With that being said, we want to make sure that we remember that oftentimes new consciousness, faith will take you into new consciousness. It's actually your real consciousness. New consciousness, or a better way to put it would be fresh consciousness. Fresh consciousness, which is like an aha. It feels fresh and it's new, and it takes a little getting used to. You know, you get into a new car, and things are different, the knobs are in different places, and it's got new bells and whistles and all these things. And it takes a minute to get used to the newness or the freshness. Your new consciousness or your fresh consciousness takes a little getting used to, but it is worth it. It is worth its weight in gold. So with that being said, I am going to invite you to join me as we move into the prayer field. And I'm going to just set the intention with any other intentions that you may have. What is it that you would like to have faith in from an eternal perspective? Meaning, what is the faith you'd like to hold about prosperity? What is the faith you'd like to hold about sacred holy relationships? What is the faith that you would like to hold for my creativity and my expression? What is the faith you'd like to hold and know about yourself? About who you really are? What is that? And so that's the intention, is to be keenly and acutely aware of that. And with that, any other intentions you have, hold that for yourself as we move into the prayer field. I'm going to invite you to join me as we lift above the temple, as we rise to the eternal. We simply return home. We return home. We take our gaze off of the horizontal, we move it to the vertical, and we allow ourselves to be still and know that I am. How grateful I am to know that all it takes is to just stop and turn and tune within sincerely, willingly, deliberately, knowing that in God all things are made new, and we know that God Almighty, the divine intelligence, the power and the omniumbrous love that governs the universe has never once judged, has never once withheld, has never once condemned or punished. That does not exist in the divine. God only loves, lavishes, praises, and raises all the time. There is no such thing as sin in the divine. Sin simply is a mistake at the temporal level. Sin does not exist in the divine. That would mean that God would be participating in duality, and God does not participate in duality, only singularity, the absolute. We open our hearts, our bodies, our minds, our souls to this infinite presence, this infinite beauty, this infinite glory, and we allow ourselves to go deeper into the revelatory field of knowing that I am as thou art as I am. Infinite good. My fortune awaits my faith. It is instant, it is miraculous, it is brilliant. We choose to know that life is eternal, multidimensional magnificence in the singularity of the one dimension of God. We say yes to knowing what it means to be born in the image and likeness of God, and to know that when we speak our word from the eternal vibration of creation to beget good. I am free. I am allowing myself to know that where I am, good is, love is, peace is, joy is, prosperity and wellness are. Always have been, always will be. And just like Dorothy just needed to click her heels and know she already had the power within her. We know the power is within us. We access it, and we choose to do as the Master said. These and greater things ye shall do. I am grateful to know that each of us has everything we need to feel, see, hear, know, activate, and express our good right here, right now. We allow it to rise up from within us and wash over us. We release this prayer in the law of creation that only seeks to fulfill it grandly, greatly, brilliantly, and beautifully. We allow ourselves to accept it in return by saying, and so I let it be.
So I let it be.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Amen.
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 Amin.
Amin.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Aho.
Aho.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Hotep.
Hotep.
And hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right, Soul Center. It is our time for conscious giving. Oh, the ushers are going to come forward to the front of the room. And as you prepare your tithe, for those of you streaming in, there's many ways to tithe. Actually, they apply to everybody. They apply to going to soulcenteroc.com and hitting the donate button. It applies to, you can Venmo, you can use cold hard cash if you're here, or you can send checks to the screen, the address on the screen, or you can do that here. There are some of you who are on the auto tithe program who have little blue butterflies that put them in the basket. That's what those mean. We're grateful to know that as we participate in circulation, it just returns to us multiplied. So ushers are going to go forward and take it away, Jasper.
Okay, all right. So this next song, again, from the Agape catalog, written by Ricky Byers and Reverend Michael Beckman. And this one is a chant. If you're familiar with it, please feel free to sing along. It's the Spirit of God is upon me.
Spirit of God is upon me.
But we do this, we bring it right before that, and we're just extending our prayers through our hearts and our hands. We take a moment in deep gratitude, knowing that life is inherently good, it is inherently cooperative, it is inherently overflowing and effulgent with prosperity. Our faith is our fortune, and we choose to go even deeper. Something wonderful has been ignited. We have said yes to the divine light within. Something wonderful is only and always taking place. We know that this offering is just a demonstration of that which is circulation expressing itself. We know that as we bless this, we are blessing ourselves individually and collectively. All needs met all the time for everyone in our lives, our friends, our family members, everyone. We bless this offering, we bless them, we bless ourselves, and we simply agree to say, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, ushers. And I believe it's time for the children.
She's gonna read a line. That was it? Yeah, just that first one for them.
And what's your name?
Madeline.
Madeline.
In order to have faith, we must have a comfort thought which will weaken this conviction. She made a beautiful picture. You want to explain to them? So, thoughts are when you throw stones in the water. You can't see yourself when you throw stones in the water, so you have to meditate to calm your brain down and don't throw stones in the water.
Thank you. That was brilliant and beautiful as you are. All right, we're ready for our closing song. Please rise. The words are in your program if you want to sing along.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, loved ones all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my song of vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it
How good it is to allow peace and love, clarity, optimism, faith, and joy, brilliance, and beauty to begin to flow through and express as each and every one of us, individually, collectively. How wonderful it is to know that every moment something new is seeking to birth itself, express itself freshly, brilliantly, vibrantly. We have all said yes. We allow this to be a catalyst to transform and up-level and uplift everything in our lives. We let it all be good, tender, brilliant, powerful by saying, and so it is. Amen. And just a reminder, if you want personal, confidential prayer with a prayer chaplain wearing a blue shawl, they'll be out on the balcony, so to speak, if you want to experience that. We're complete.